Sounds great.
So, good evening, everybody. We have a great honor today to have Natalie Melo with us, former Rush player, sister of a Rush player, big sister of a Rush player as well.
Yes, indeed.
Who's going to speak with you guys about her journey through the club ranks, the college ranks, and also in the professional realm. So, Natalie, I'd like to thank you for coming. And we're just going to give a little introduction about you.
Awesome.
Natalie, like I said, is a former Florida Rush player, state cup champion, as well as was named Osceola County Player of the Year in high school. She was a high school and Florida Rush team captain, was part of the Florida ODP state team, as well as the ODP Region 3 team. She also has youth national team experience, both in the United States and in Colombia. So she was called into under 14 national camp and under 18 national camp here in the States. And she was called into the under 20 national camp in Colombia. She went to school at Columbia University, which is a Division I school in the Ivy League. So both brains and athletics. She was an all Ivy League honorable mention player. In her professional career, she has played, I'm going to butcher this so you can maybe say it for me, Millonarios FC in Colombia, where she was a team captain. She also played for the New York Athletic Club, where she was team captain, and the 2016 WPSL national champion. So, Natalie, I'd like to thank you for joining us tonight and for speaking with our girls. Anything else you want to add on to that impressive resume that you have?
No, first of all, thank you for the introduction, and thank you for having me on this call. I was really excited when I got the invite, because I see a lot of familiar faces already on the call, and as you mentioned, my little sister's on the 2010 team with Alex Burrell. Shout out to everyone, the squad that's on here. But really excited to be here, and really, I want this to be very interactive. I want to be able to help as much as I can in answering any questions that you guys might have. And really, this is just an opportunity for me to share my story and everything that the game of soccer has given to me and the doors that it's opened up for me along the way. And hopefully give you guys a little bit of sense of where you want to go with soccer and what you want to get out of it as you guys continue to play the game. So I'm really happy to be here. And again, don't be shy. Feel free to ask questions along the way. But really, I just want to share my story and be able to hear a little bit about you guys and what you want to do in the game.
Greatly appreciate that, Natalie. And girls, as we go along, we will have a question and answer portion at the end of the webinar or the chat here. But if you have a question as we're going along, feel free to use the chat function on Zoom, and Coach Alvin or I will get that question over to Natalie. So I'm going to let Coach Alvin start this slide going through your club and high school career. So, Coach Alvin, you good?
Yeah, prior to being recruited, what was your training schedule like? Team, professional, private?
Yeah. Hi, Alvin. So I'll start with a little background. So I actually started playing when I was 8 years old. My family's originally from Colombia, so it's a big soccer country. So my dad actually played as well. My brother plays. So we all just kind of grew up around the game. So I started playing when I was 8. Eventually ended up joining for club soccer, joining Rush. So I actually am also was part of the Rush family back in the day. Through high school, through my 4 years of high school, I was with Rush. So in terms of my training schedule, like many of you, we trained 2 to 3 times a week. Usually we had two days of the week, we had proper team training sessions. Then on, I think, Wednesdays, we used to have speed training, where we worked on more so the agility and strength and conditioning. And then a lot of it was just personal, right? So having my dad here at home, who's a coach, and my brother here at home, we did a lot of individual work, and it's something that I definitely recommend for all you girls out there, especially now that you're spending a lot of time at home. Doing a lot of personal training, really working on your ball skills, your technical skills. I think that goes a long way in kind of preparing you for a higher level in the game. So that's kind of, a week in the life back then was 2 to 3 days of proper training, and then every other day we would do individual training here at home, and then of course on weekends usually we had games just like you guys do.
Right, and I'm gonna jump in here because I think something that I know about you from when I used to see you play is you spend some time training with boys teams at
Yes,
Florida Rush.
indeed.
So if you touch on that a little bit and what the atmosphere and environment was like and why you chose to do that.
Yeah, so first of all, it was really helpful. Great experience for me. Obviously, at first, as a girl, you're a little shy to jump in with all the boys, but I think it really helped me build my game. Luckily, as I mentioned, my brother was part of Rush as well. And back then, Coach Eric Garcia, who's still around, was his coach. And he was very, very welcoming and supportive in allowing me to jump in with the team and train with them. So that was a lot of what I did. I would go to my personal rush training sessions with the girls, and then we'd rush over to my brother's sessions, and I would jump in again. At the time, I just loved playing, right? So it didn't matter if it was boys or girls. It was just another opportunity to get out there and play.
Absolutely.
And before we move on, and this, tell me if this question's in there, Trent, but before we move on, Natalie, right now with everybody being kind of pinned up a little bit at their homes, how was it for you? What was your motivation to get to where you got to? What motivated you to get to, get into those levels of hierarchies, national team, college? Can you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So, at first it was just about fun and passion. I just loved playing. My brother and I would compete and do 1v1s out in a backyard or the front yard. And that really was, I'm sure a lot of you have siblings too, and you're probably doing a lot of that right now, that we're all kind of stuck at home. But that was the start of it, really, was we just had a lot of fun competing with each other. And getting better at soccer and at other sports. We would play basketball, we'd play tennis, just really getting into being active was kind of the beginning of kind of building that love for the game. And little by little, as I started playing at a higher and higher level, I realized, this is actually something I feel that I'm good at and I feel I want to get better at and want to spend a lot of time working on. And so it was kind of one step at a time, right? You start at the rec level, you realize you like it. Then you go on to club and you start competing and you realize, oh, wait, this winning thing feels good. And then you think about opportunities that might come out of the game. At the time, I really was thinking about going to college and being able to get a scholarship through soccer was something that, came to mind and was a goal of ours. It obviously financially helped a lot to be able to get recruited to play a sport in college. And so that kind of became the next goal. And then from there, I just loved playing. So I always looked for ways to continue kind of growing and improving what I love doing.
Great answer. How was your GPA and your test scores?
It was good. It was good. So, of course, I think it's very important to balance both out. It's not necessarily easy. Sometimes I'm sure you girls get a little bit tired or frustrated with having to balance going to training and going to games and doing your homework. But I think it's just as important, right? I think as you think about the opportunities that you can get, it's really, really important. And for me, it was to have the grades, to be able to kind of back up your skills on the field. And when you go and talk to college coaches, they're going to see you play. And then the first thing they're going to ask you is, how are your grades? How are your scores? Because it's another really important part of being kind of a complete person and being able to get those kinds of opportunities. So for me, my grades were good. It was challenging. I'm not going to lie. I had days where we had to do our homework on the road on the way to a tournament or on the way to training. I remember kind of writing down stuff and doing my homework in the car on the way. So it's definitely not easy, but I would say it's worth it. And it's something that you all should stay focused on and spend a lot of time on, and listen to your parents when they say to do your homework on time, because it's going to be really important later on as you get to the next level for you guys to have that piece along with being a great soccer player.
Yeah, and just to add in just a little bit there, so Columbia is, now, do they offer athletic scholarships? Because they're an Ivy League school.
Yeah, so they actually helped me a lot financially, and obviously in terms of recruitment, the recruitment and application process was a lot easier because I was an athlete, because I had that help from the coach of the university kind of guiding me along the way with the process. Obviously, it helps in terms of extracurricular activities to be able to say that, you know, you played soccer at a high level. So I think all those things kind of weighed into being able to go to the school I went to. It wasn't just the grades, it was kind of all of these other extracurriculars and experiences that I had through soccer that made me a little bit different from all the other students that maybe had the same GPA or the same test scores.
Gotcha. That's awesome. How did you become motivated to work even on your laziest days?
And this is a shout out to
question.
Sid. This is Sid's question, so shout out.
Good question, Sid. No, it's a really good question for sure, especially on rainy days. No, it's not easy, right? There's ups and downs. Some days you have more energy and you're more motivated than others, but at the end of the day, it's about doing what you love, keeping it fun, right? So as I think about, you know, my lazy days and what I do to continue to stay active is switching it up a bit. You know, you don't have to run 5 miles every day to feel like you're working out. As I mentioned, my brother and I grew up shooting hoops, playing tennis. Sometimes we go on bike rides. Even to this day, you know, when I'm not feeling a run, I'll go on a bike ride. So really just doing things that you feel on that day are going to be able to make you your best self on any given day, and finding different ways to stay active and to keep it fun. Don't make it something that's boring and that you feel stressed to do. Instead, make it something that's enjoyable.
Thank you.
No problem, Sid. And any of you girls, if you have questions along the way as well, please feel free. We have a Q&A at the end, but.
Yeah, what did you sacrifice? What sacrifice did you make to achieve your dream?
Yeah, I think this is a great question, especially for the high schoolers that are on the call, because I think that's kind of the phase where you think about some of the things that maybe you're giving up to go to soccer. To me, it wasn't necessarily sacrifices as much as it was kind of giving certain things up for other great things. I think the biggest one that comes to mind, of course, is time, right? Time that you, on a weekend, maybe you're traveling for a tournament that's far from home, and your friends from high school are going to the movies together, right? So I think there's certain sacrifices for sure on the social front that you think you're making, but at the end of the day, I can tell you, you know, even with Rush, my closest friends in high school were my Rush teammates. We grew super close and still stay in touch to this day, you know, 10 years later. I can say the same for college. We spent a lot of time together with each other on the road and going to games and training. And so at the end of the day, you know, you feel that you give up some sacrifices in terms of being able to hang out with your high school friends and do things that normal kids do. But at the end of the day, it's very much worth it, because the friendships that you get out of soccer, I'm sure all of you, you know, many of you on your teams have really close friends that are on your Rush teams now. So I think those friendships make it all worth it and kind of make up for the sacrifices.
Here's a question, Natalie, from
Yeah.
Kiefer Kids. There's multiple of them on the call with us. What did you do in the summer and in the off season before college? And then also, what did you do at that same time when you went to college? So this will go along with the sacrifices that you put in to get to achieve your dream.
Yeah, it's a great question. Hello, Kiefer Kids. So preparing for college soccer, yeah, so obviously it's a different ball game, especially on the fitness front, right? So I am not a very tall player, but I worked a lot on my technical skills, and so I've always considered that kind of an area, a strength area. But on the physical front, you know, I knew that I was going to have to walk into doing fitness tests and doing a little bit more on that side, and so really just started running a little bit more than I used to, prepared more physically in terms of doing weights and things like this. In terms of the summer between during college, trying to stay fit, right? So I found a local team in New York where I went to college that I would train with a couple of times a week to stay fit. Usually I stuck around New York and did internships, which I can talk about later on as well, because I think it's an important part of kind of mentioning the opportunities that soccer has given me. But while I did those internships in New York, I would kind of find ways to stay active and stay fit with my teammates that also stuck around in New York during the summers.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Okay, recruiting process.
Yeah.
How was it? When did you commit? Who helped you during the process?
Yeah, so I'm sure many of you are going through this now. Definitely a process that helps when you have the support of your parents and your coaches to kind of guide you through it. That was my case. As I mentioned, I played for Rush, and I think the extent of my college recruiting was mostly through Rush and ODP, more so than through high school soccer. For me, high school soccer was more a fun thing to do. But really my recruitment process started when we started playing big competitive tournaments with Rush. So we did every single year, we did the Disney Showcase. That was either Thanksgiving or Christmas. We traveled to certain tournaments out of state. So we went to Las Vegas for a competition there. And there's where I started finding a lot of college coaches kind of on the lookout, mostly sophomore and junior years of high school. I don't know what the timing's like now, if it's sooner or later, but ended up getting a couple of options. I was really fortunate. Some Florida schools reached out, and really then I started thinking about, what do I want to get out of my college experience? Where do I want to be? What kind of lifestyle do I want to live? Do I want to be in a big city? Do I want to be in a small college town? All these other things that you need to think about. And then, of course, there's the pieces of soccer and academics. How's the team? Went on a couple of visits to get to know some of the girls and the coaches and understand what it was like, a day in the life of going to each of these specific schools. And my junior year, I started talking to Colombia. For me, it was finding that balance in going to a really good academic school and also having the opportunity to play D1 soccer. And New York was really appealing to me, right? So I grew up here in Orlando, like a lot of you or most of you. And I really liked the idea of going to a big city and kind of exploring the opportunities and the people that I could meet in a big city. So those are all the things that I kind of considered and thought through when making the decision. And ultimately, I applied early decision to Colombia and said, if I get in, that's where I'm going, and it worked out.
We do have a question from Leah here. How many colleges, and I know you talked about some of them that you were looking at, but how many colleges were you looking at before you started focusing on just Colombia?
Quite a lot. So, I grew up doing Rush and ODP, there were a lot of the coaches were college coaches. So of course I looked at all of the Florida schools. I visited USF, I visited Florida, FSU, I visited the University of Miami. Because at first I wanted to be close to home. I'm very close to my family, my parents, my siblings, and the idea of going so far was a little bit scary. But then, I reached out to kind of my dream schools and said, what are my dream schools? So it's like Stanford, Harvard, Columbia, and said, let's give it a shot. There's nothing to lose here. And Columbia kind of opened up as a really good opportunity, and it ended up working out.
Awesome. And another question we have, did you have to miss school for games? So
I have a question for you. Do you want to miss school for games? Yeah, occasionally, especially Fridays, right? So sometimes Mondays, if we had a really long tournament, it's hard, right? You think about, I reminisce on some of these competitions, some of these tournaments, Disney Showcase, we would play 4, 5, 6 games in a weekend in 90-degree weather. It's hard, right? And it's obviously taxing on the body. Oh my God, Sophia, good question. I'll answer that later. But Occasionally I did have to miss school, but I would talk to, my guidance counselor, my teachers, and make sure I was on top of my schoolwork. When we went on some away trips, I had to miss maybe a Friday, which was a travel day for our team before we played Saturday and Sunday. So definitely something that might come up, and it definitely comes up in college, balancing class and games, especially away games. So you occasionally have to organize your schedule for class in a way that maybe you don't have class on Friday so that you don't deal with missing class while you go and play soccer. So
Yeah, I think Sophia wants to know on tape who's your favorite sibling. So
Sophia Melo. Hello, sis. Which sibling is your favorite? Well, I'm gonna say it's you just because Nico's not on the call.
There you go. And we have a question. How was it? Actually, I'm going to touch on that when we get to the college side. So
Hey,
go ahead.
Trent, I got one.
Yep.
So now you were talking about, Natalie, you were talking about your high school, before you went to college, the trips. So now, how did that play into, and how did that help you at the next level, at the college level?
It helped me a ton, right? I think it's about building habits, building the right habits on a daily basis and getting used to the routine of training. And the fact that I was training every day, sometimes twice a day, with joining my brother's sessions, it definitely helped when we transitioned over to college, where when you think about preseason, which, by the way, one of the most memorable experiences of my life is preseason, because literally all you do is eat, sleep, and play soccer for 2 weeks before school starts. But so I think kind of building that lifestyle, those, values of discipline, of being on time, of all these things that you end up needing, not just for college, but for life, right? Showing up on time, waking up early sometimes to go to games, all of those things I think transition into college. And so it wasn't that hard of an adjustment because I had already been doing it in high school.
Excellent. And we do have one more question that the person wants to talk. So I'm going to bring on
Sure, great.
Coach AB has a question for you.
AB.
Coach Alex, go ahead.
Love this.
Hey,
How's it going? I'm good. How are you?
Great. Listen, I just want to say on behalf of the club, we really, really appreciate you doing this. I think it's fantastic that you're coming on, and there's 65 people on this call, and you're a fantastic inspiration and great role model to all females and even boys. I mean, you've played at that level.
Thanks so much.
Where every single player on this call wants to get to college, to ODP, the national level. Obviously, we know each other very well.
For sure.
And I just want to say it's awesome. And every single girl on this call needs to take notes of everything Nat is saying. She's done an awesome job with her career, and she's gone through a lot of tough situations to get to where she's at, and hard work paid off. So please
so
make
much,
sure you're all
Alex.
paying attention. So
no, that means a lot, and thanks for that. And I care a lot about Rush and a lot of the girls that are on the squad. I see a lot of potential. I'm sure a lot of the other teams, I think the club's on the right track, and I've been following everything Sophia M's been doing with her team on the Zoom calls and the Rush Rolls On challenges, and I think all of that's fantastic that you guys are doing such a great job of keeping all the girls engaged and keeping them active, even from home, which is a big challenge that we're all facing, that we can't see each other face to face and kick around together. But I think you guys are doing a fantastic job of keeping the girls working on their game even from home. So kudos there.
If we appreciate it, we're doing everything we can. And so what I want to ask.
Oh, I know you have even me running on these challenges.
So
I'm telling you.
You have a lot, like I said, you have a lot of young players right now on this call, especially 2011s and 2010s, as you know. They're not quite at the college level yet, but it's good for them to listen to what you have to say. One thing I want to ask you is, for them, give me 3 top things you would say towards them, these 2011, 2012 players, which would be the key thing to focus on right now. And my second question would be, how important do you think it is for these girls and all girls of ages to be watching soccer?
Both fantastic questions. So I'll tackle your first one. For the little girls, and obviously I have a 9-year-old sister here, so I think I understand her pretty well, and I've gotten to know her passion for the game. And I think the biggest thing right now, one, is enjoy it. Enjoy the game, enjoy playing, enjoy being with friends, outdoors, kicking a ball around, have fun. Remember to have fun and don't put too much pressure on yourself. And the second thing is to spend as much time as you can with the ball. I think at that age, the key thing is to really get to know the ball. And Alex, you know this just as well as I do. It's a key age to really work on the fundamentals and work on your juggling and work on your touches. I think when you're young is when you should really focus on that piece of really spending quality time with the ball, and get out in your backyard and just try things. Don't be afraid to try things, and enjoy it, right? I think that's at that age, at Sophie's age, and your 2010s, 2011s, it's about having fun. Spend time playing with your siblings, playing against your siblings, because I think that helps as well. And be around the ball as much as you can. I think my parents gave up on having us no balls in the house rule a long time ago. We still kick around and do 1v1s inside of the house, and it's a big part of getting better.
Absolutely. So take note. How important?
Second question?
The other one.
Yes.
The other one is just how important do you think it is? And I drive this a lot, as you know, to the team. But how important is it for girls of all ages to be watching soccer? Just how influential is that in their development to progress to the elite level?
It's huge. I can tell you, even to this day, in working on my game, a big part of it is watching soccer, and it's watching the best of the best, and it's also watching, at college levels, just really understanding. I think watching helps you really see positioning, helps you see how some of these players think. I think it gives you huge tips in terms of things that you can add to your game. So I'm a center mid. I look to, what key players play the same position as I do, and how and why are they successful, I think is a really key piece. So for me, one of my idols growing up was Andres Iniesta, who is, as you guys know, Barcelona legend, center mid. And I really started analyzing his game and saying, wait, I want to play like him. And so I think watching him helped me a lot in kind of figuring out what kind of player I wanted to be.
Fantastic. Girls, make sure you paid attention to that. You heard it from the best.
Now's a great time, right? Right now, we're all spending a lot of time at home. It's a great time to look at that old footage. There's plenty of footage. If you go on the FIFA channels, they're putting a ton of World Cup games, both men and women's games. So it's a great time to watch some of those throwback videos and get to know watching the game.
Well, Nat, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. And kudos to Trent
Alex.
and Alvin for setting this up. Excellent stuff, guys. Keep lifting, girls.
Absolutely. So moving into your college career, Natalie, how did you know you picked the right school?
So it's all those factors I talked to earlier, right? It was a matter of what my priorities were and what I wanted to get out of my college experience. A big part of that was soccer, but it wasn't the only thing. It was also, how can I use soccer to open up other opportunities, right? So I knew I picked the right school when I was in New York, and I ended up doing internships in sports and figuring out that, hey, actually my experience in sports as a soccer player can actually give me so many more avenues to look into, right? So I think it's important that I touch on the fact that beyond being a player, playing soccer can help you open up a lot of other doors. So for me, the fact that I was a student athlete allowed me to get internships in college in New York in sports. So I knew I loved sports, and I knew that's what I wanted to be around all the time, even if I was not on the field necessarily. And so I ended up working with the NBA, working with FC Barcelona, and doing a little bit on the business side. And a big part of it was, hey, I've played this game my whole life. I know it. I love it. And that was a big reason why they gave me the chance to join and get those jobs. So I think that's another important call out.
That's fantastic. And what was the hardest part in choosing Colombia and being far from home?
For me, as a Florida girl, the hardest part was the winters, for sure, without a doubt. I went from playing in 90-degree weather to playing in the snow. So really big transition there. Obviously, going from a really small town where you drive everywhere and there's a lot of space to going to live in an apartment in the middle of New York City was a bit overwhelming at first, and figuring out the subway system and, not having your parents guiding you and taking you everywhere. But it definitely helped me. It helped me grow up. It helped me really get to know myself. And then, being far from home was hard as well, but I always found ways to come back for Thanksgiving, for Christmas break, for summer break. I would always come back and visit my family. They also were able to go up and visit me and watch me play in a couple of games. So that made it manageable. But, it's challenging, but it's worth it if you feel that it's the right move for you.
Right. And I know, and Coach Alvin can probably agree to this, but for these Florida kids, when we take them out of state and they hit that first brutal winter month in North Carolina. So what prepared you for that? What made you
just gotta live it.
What made you decide that you would be able to handle those brutal New York months?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of being open to change, right? I think it's very easy sometimes to get comfortable in what we're used to and what we feel is right. But when you get out of your comfort zone and really say, hey, maybe, this is a challenge and it's going to be hard, but maybe it'll make me grow. I think having that mindset is key, of just kind of adapting to whatever situation you're going to face, and it's going to be new, and eventually it'll be normal and it'll be fun and you'll feel comfortable in that new environment. So it's just a matter of kind of having that mindset of saying, I'm open to this. It's going to be new. It's going to be hard, but it'll be worth it in the end.
Excellent. And going in as a freshman, what did the training environment look like for you at Columbia, and how did you adjust to that?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, it's definitely, you have to balance class and soccer, and we went now, whereas in club you're training 2 or 3 times a week, now in college you're training every single day, and if you're not training, you're playing games or traveling. So definitely an adjustment, but I think it's a matter of kind of organizing your time and managing it in the best way so that you can balance out your classes and your training and your homework and your proper rest. It takes time. I'm not going to lie. You're not going to get it the first couple of weeks, even the first couple of months. But I think freshman year kind of gives you that freedom to where you're the new guy in town, and you don't really have to know what you're doing and have it all together. And then the older folks kind of guide you and show you the ropes. And it's a lot of fun along the way, obviously. So
absolutely.
Hey,
go ahead.
Hey, Trent. Mm-hmm. Yeah, hey, Natalie. Now we may, if we're going to touch on this later, I'm good. How did the national team part of your play-in help you with your freshman days? And was it at the same time? I mean, were you doing some of that kind of at the same time as college?
Great question.
Yeah, so it's a great question. So as I mentioned, I did a lot of ODP back then. It was a big thing along with club. And so I would go to Alabama every year for a regional camp. And out of there is where I got kind of selected to go to these youth national camps, starting at U14 all the way through U18. So I didn't go to national camps in college, with the exception of the one I did in Colombia. But it definitely prepared me, right? So, ODP, you would go to camps for 2 weeks at a time, and there would be coaches watching and kind of choosing who was going to be selected to the next round. So it kind of helped me prepare in terms of dealing with pressure and kind of being able to show my best game on any given day, which I eventually needed for college as well. And then in terms of the level, obviously for ODP, we ended up kind of uniting the best. It was the best 100 players in the country, then eventually the best 50 players in the country. So I got to play with people like Julie Ertz, for example, who obviously is a legend and is on the national team now. All of those experiences kind of made me much more confident in my game leading up to starting to play in college.
Awesome. And that was a great question. Great answer. Was it difficult to juggle academics with soccer, especially at an Ivy League school?
Yeah, it was very hard, but it was doable, right? So luckily on both sides, there was support and understanding. So whenever there was a conflict on a Friday and we had to travel, we had the support of our coach to be able to talk to the professors and help us find ways around it in terms of any homework that we may have to do on the road and things like this. Not easy, but again, when you do it through high school, I'm sure many of you are already dealing with it when you travel and you have homework on the weekends. But it's a matter of managing your time and figuring out what works best for you in terms of timelines of when you can choose your schedule, in terms of classes, so that you can continue to do really well on both school and soccer. Not easy, but it's definitely doable.
Right. What was your biggest struggle playing in college, and how did you manage it? And I'm going to go ahead and ask Zeta's question on the chat because it kind of goes along with this. But did you have any major setbacks that occurred during your college experience? And if you did, how did you manage to get back from it, or how did your coaches help you?
Yeah, for sure. So a couple, right? Everyone has setbacks along the way, and it's part of the learning process. I think the first one was adjusting to the style of play. As I mentioned, I'm technical and not very tall, and I quickly came to learn and realize that the college game is fast and physical. And so that was a big adjustment for me, and it's something that I worked on a lot. So when I first got to college my freshman year, I think I was somewhere in the middle of the pack in terms of my fitness test results and my beep test. And it was something I said, hey, I got to get better at this. And so I started working on my own in the summers to get better at it. And, as years went by, I ended up working my way all the way up on that fitness test section. So really working on kind of the elements that I didn't previously work on as much, just because I was focused more on the technical piece. Really was a struggle and a challenge, but I ended up kind of working towards it and overcoming it. The other one is injuries. I think, hopefully none of you guys have to deal with it, but it's a part of the game, right? And so I had a couple of ankle injuries through college, but, one of the great things about college sports in the US is you really have the whole support and structure in place to help you with things like this. So we would do ice baths before and after games. Whenever I had ankle sprains, I had an athletic trainer that would help me take my ankles before games and help me with the rehab process. So, it's a setback, but it definitely isn't something that should pull you away from the game if you love it enough. At least it wasn't the case for me. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we kind of touched on this a little bit, but did you have to sacrifice your social life in college to play at that highest level?
Yeah, for sure. So as I mentioned, the same as was the case in high school was the case in college. A lot of college kids were going out and parties and things like this, and part of the college experience per se. It's not to say that we sacrificed it. I think we just adjusted to it in a different way because, we had games on Saturdays and Sundays, and we had to go to bed at a decent, reasonable time. And we couldn't stay up all night, joking around with our roommates. So I think these are minimal sacrifices that, every college athlete, not just soccer players, have to make. But at the end of the day, it's a blast because you're doing all of this with your closest friends that are right on the same boat with you. So
absolutely. And Riley wrote in and asked, as you continued your career, did you ever have to change positions?
Yeah, so it's a great question. And that's actually another, I would say, challenge I had in college. I've mostly always played attacking center mid. I love that position. I find it to be where I can be most creative and show my best skill set. But in college, I actually played right forward, and I'm a left-footed player, right? And my coach just said, no, listen, I'm going to put you up there, and you can come down whenever you want to come down and look for the ball, but I really think you can succeed up there. So I kind of learned to play the position, and to Alex's point, tried to watch some film of some of the top strikers to figure out how to best adjust my game. Looked at Messi, right? Because Messi's someone who can play up there and is, could easily be an attacking center mid as well. So I think it's part of it. It's kind of adjusting, and I had a lot of teammates that maybe they were forward and they ended up playing center back or outside back in college and did really well. It's just a matter of kind of adjusting and being open to the idea of switching positions.
Excellent. All right, I'm going to switch it back over to you, Alvin. We're going to move into your professional and your international career.
Who helped you the most continue your professional career?
Yeah, so without a doubt here, I would say my family, right? I think you need the support of the people around you. And, looking back, I have to tell all of you to thank your coaches and your parents as much as you can for the sacrifices they make, right? When I think about all of the travel games that we had to go to and the driving and staying at hotels and, my parents spending their anniversary at a hotel room on a weekend in Jacksonville. I think that for sure is a key piece of being able to do this, is counting on the support of your siblings and your parents. So I think those are the people for me that have always helped me, even to the point of getting to my professional career. As I mentioned, I was working in New York and I decided to kind of take a risk on myself and go try to play in Colombia, which I'll touch on a little bit later. But a big part of that was really talking to them and saying, hey guys, I'm thinking, I have this crazy idea of quitting my job and going to play. What do you think? And they supported it and they said, if it's what you want, go for it. You can do it. And that's a huge part of kind of every decision I've made along the way is having that support group around you to support you and to tell you can do it.
Great. And we have a question here that I think maybe it'll help you transition into touching on moving to Colombia. But when and how did you start your process with the Colombian Academy teams?
Yeah, so in between my sophomore and junior years, I started reaching out to the Colombian team just because I knew that, I had dual citizenship because my parents are Colombian, and they said, hey, maybe I can get a good shot at the national team there. So I started kind of establishing that contact with the coach there, and he said, yeah, come out to a camp. So during the winter break of one of my college years, I went to a U20 camp. Really great experience, right? To see and meet girls who were playing in Colombia, in a different country and a different playing style. And I realized there was a lot of talent there. That was a really great kind of first opportunity for me. Then I spent a couple of years working in New York and kind of got into the stable lifestyle of having a job, a full-time job, and traveling for work and all these things. But I continued to play for a team in New York and stay fit. And I just found that I loved playing, and I was happiest when I was training with my team. So eventually I kind of thought through and made that decision to say, hey, why don't I consider Colombia again? So when I quit my job at Barca, I started knocking on doors, and a big door that, came to mind was Colombia, just because it was where I was from. And I knew some people, I had some family members there, and I knew the club team that I ended up going and playing for was a club team that my dad played for back in the day. So there was kind of that tie that I said, this could be a really good segue into playing professionally. And literally I started knocking on doors, right? Because to that point, I hadn't played at the professional level per se. I hadn't played in a professional league. So I just put together, it felt like college all over again, or getting into college all over again. I put together a profile with like college video clips and my contact information and my resume, and started just like calling and reaching out to teams. And Millonarios was one of the first to say, yeah, come try out. We can't guarantee anything, but if you can get on an airplane and come here and try out and we like you, we'll see where it goes. And so, obviously not an easy decision. And I bought a one-way ticket and went and tried out and loved it and made the team and stuck around for the whole season. Ended up being the captain of the team and had one of the best experiences of my life. So I think my biggest learning there was, taking the risk was worth it, because I realized even if I hadn't made it, I would have said, okay, I tried it, and I wanted to try it. So definitely something that I'm really happy I did.
Excellent.
Yeah, I know this is going back to college a little bit, but just to add into that, Natalie, I did that once too. I was actually drafted, but
that's great.
Instead of going to the team, I was drafted to. A couple of my friends decided to go to a team that was starting up. So, but you touched on something here, and it may go back to the college a little bit, but it was basically you started knocking on doors. And I think sometimes kids, or because they don't get a scholarship, what have you, they won't go to that school. What would you say to them? What would you say to a player that the school likes them? They don't have the money right now, but maybe something comes out of it in the end. How would you help a player that thinks like
Yeah,
that?
for sure. I mean, I think there's nothing to lose, right? There's nothing wrong with knocking on a door and it not opening, and I think once you get over that feeling of what if they say no, because everyone thinks of what if I'm rejected, what if they don't want me. I'll give the example. Harvard was like, thanks but no thanks, we already got our players locked in and we're good. And at least I knocked on the door and got a no, right? So I think that's a big piece, and I've learned it along the way, because it's not so easy at first to say, let me take the risk of giving them a call, and maybe it'll be embarrassing. But I think there's nothing to lose in kind of just knocking on the door and saying, hey, this is who I am. Am I a good fit for what you guys are looking for? You'll never know if you don't try, right? So that's been kind of my theme even until last year, with this risk of saying, should I just keep doing the job that I've been doing and call it a day, or should I try? And if you really feel that you're going to regret it down the road, then you got to try it.
How did you feel when you got that call into your first national team camp?
Good. It felt awesome. Well, obviously you feel nerves, right? Because you got to go to a camp and play with some of the best girls in the country. Obviously, the U.S. has some of the best talent on the women's level. So you do feel those butterflies in your stomach, but it's also it's an honor, right? It's an awesome opportunity to be able to put on the jersey of any big club or any big country. I can say in the case of my club experience last year, putting on that jersey was huge, and you can see my kissing the logo on the picture there. But it's just this feeling of kind of honor, and you feel fortunate to be able to represent a country or a club as a player. I think there's no feeling like it, like walking out in a stadium and being able to hear the anthem of a country that you're representing or you're playing for. It's priceless. So it's pretty cool.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry.
No
Preparation for the national team camp. So what were your
So a lot of the same, right? It was, okay, I got a camp in a month. How am I going to prepare? How am I going to rest? How am I going to hydrate? What am I going to eat? So, as you start kind of going higher and higher in the levels, you have to think a little bit more about it, especially as you get older too. So now more than ever, I think about what I eat and how much I sleep, because all these things are also really important for performance, right? It's not just going out and training. It's actually mentally being okay, physically being okay, to be able to go out and feel confident in that you're going to show your best football.
Awesome.
I think we already touched on this, so if you want to, we can skip, unless you have anything that you want to add on playing overseas.
Yeah. I think the one thing I would add here is just related to travel and how much soccer's allowed me to travel and see the world and learn about different cultures, right? So I think being overseas and far from home, yes, it's a challenge, but it opens up so many new frontiers and horizons that, I never imagined, both as a player and also working on kind of the business side of soccer. I was able to go to the World Cup in Brazil in 2014 and go to cities I never imagined seeing, and meeting people and trying food and all these things that kind of, expand your horizons thanks to soccer. So I think that's definitely a cool call out to mention here.
Yeah, and I want to go back to something that you touched on, and it's that you took that chance to go to Colombia and just get on a one-way ticket and say, I'm going to go see what happens. How did you, how did you come to that, to being able to do that? Because I think a lot of kids, they make decisions and then they regret it, right? I had a scholarship to go play at a small school, but I want to be at Florida State. And then 6 months in, they're regretting it. So did you have experiences where you learned, regret hits hard and I don't want to be in that position, or are you just a daredevil, if you might mind touching on that?
No, I don't think it's being a daredevil. I think it's what I touched on earlier, that if you find yourself continuing to think about it over and over again in your head, at that point, you just got to try to live it out, right? So it happened to me as well in the work side, where I worked at the NBA in basketball, and, it was a great job on paper, but I was like, oh, but I love soccer. Like, what am I doing? I want to be in football. And I left the NBA to go to FC Barcelona, another great opportunity, but it took, having those tough conversations and making big decisions. So I think along the way I've learned. I think at first it was much harder to make that kind of decision. I don't think 5 years ago I maybe would have made the decision of like, let me just drop everything and go. And I think every experience kind of makes you more comfortable in doing it. So what I mean by that is, like when I left Barca to go play, a big part of it was I had that conversation with my family, but I also had it with some of my coworkers, and I had it with the people at Barca, and they said, listen, we love, it's amazing that your dream is to play professionally. You should go try it. Worst case, you've done a great job here. You can always come back, and so it's kind of like, as you live those experiences and show your best self in whatever you do, you should always leave those doors open. Don't burn any bridges, because at the end of the day, that helps you be able to take those chances. Like for me, that was huge that I could go try it. And worst case, I had some people that were going to have my back and help me find a job or figure out what I was going to do if it didn't work out.
I love that. Thank you for touching on that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Alvin.
Yeah, culture within the professional environment. Speak to that.
Yeah, no, it's great. Obviously, it's a different ball game. All of last year, I committed myself 100% to playing, which is what I wanted to do. So I wasn't any longer working and then training at nights, or doing homework and then training at nights. At this point, at the professional level, it was really like, this is what I'm doing. 100%, I'm all in to just playing to the best of my ability, right? So it took things to a different level where I was like watching film all the time, sleeping in the middle of the day because I had training. My training sessions were at 6 a.m., right? So it's not, at that point, it's not like, oh, I have class, I have school. No, you're training at 6 a.m. or at 7 a.m. Then you're sleeping in the middle of the day, and then you're going to the gym in the afternoon, or you're going to go have a film session, right? So it really was a really cool experience for me to live a day in the life of a soccer player for, at the professional level for all of last year, and to really feel what it's like and everything that goes into being able to play really well for those 90 minutes on a weekend. And then there's the fan side I would add as well, which was pretty awesome, especially for the women's game. Like we played in a big stadium, 30,000 people, and thousands and thousands of fans showed up for this club team, which was really neat. Like at that point, I had never experienced anything like it at the college level or at the club level, where you have thousands of fans out there cheering for you. That's obviously a different level of adrenaline and excitement around the games, which was cool.
And I'm going to touch on this question, or ask this question from one of our coaches on staff, Coach Paul. What do you think are the top 3 mental skills players should be working on, and what are your top 3 mental skills that you get that got you where you are right now?
Yeah, it's a great question. Hi, Paul. Hope you're well. So he touched on mental toughness and preparation. I think the mental piece is huge, right? If your body, you're physically there, but you're not mentally present, it's really hard to perform and to have a good game. I think for me, in terms of my mental skills, I would say, I've always been very disciplined. So I've always, managed to train when I need to train, rest when I need to rest. I think that's a really big piece that's helped me. I think the skill set of being able to lead others is one that I've developed more recently. I think at first I kind of was so in my head, I would worry only about my game, but then the next level is how can I make everyone around me better? And that's something that I think I've worked on a lot in the past few years. And it's kind of shown in the results of being able to be named captain of these teams. It's not just about you anymore. It's about collectively, there might be things I have to sacrifice of my game to make the person behind me or in front of me better. And it'll lead to the better result for the team, I think, is another really big skill set. And then just optimism, right? I think to take all these risks, you really have to be positive and, have an optimistic mentality of this is going to work out. And if it doesn't, it's fine. I think that's another big mental skill to have as you go along the way.
Yeah, I was talking to Coach Nahas yesterday at NC Courage, and one thing that he said that stuck with me is if you want to be good, focus on yourself. But if you want to be great, focus on yourself and your teammates around you, and
Yeah.
invest in each other. I think that's really key in what you just said. So I really appreciate that. So advice for all of our younger players, what would your advice be on training during the lockdown?
Yeah, so I think you guys are already doing a lot of it, right? And from what I mentioned, I've seen a lot of it with the challenges of you guys kind of challenging each other to try different skills, spending time with the ball and finding any space you have at home to really get familiar with it, and to work on your individual game, right? We have so much time now, more than we usually have. We're usually so busy with school and with driving to and from and all these things. I think now's a great opportunity for everyone at home to really work on the things they want to work on. If you're a right-footed player, this is the time to work on your left foot. If your juggling record is bad, now is your time to maybe work on getting that record up. I know in the case of my sister, we've been working on juggling, and she's broken her record during this quarantine, right? Because it's, what can I work on now that I haven't had the time to do when I'm so busy with everything going on in real life. So I think that's a key piece. And then, for those of you who have siblings at home, as I mentioned, I think some of you have siblings that also play soccer. So it's a great chance for you guys to get out and just have fun and work on your 1v1s wherever you have space.
And Camilla asks, what was one of the things you remember that your coaches kept telling you over and over and over again about being better?
To be better. It's a great question. So for me, it was always working on defensively, right? So I've always been an attacking minded player. I love going up to score. And a big thing that I've developed and learned over the years is, you have to be a player that both knows how to attack and knows how to defend. So knows exactly how to react as soon as we lose the ball. So that's something that I've been working on a lot, and that my coaches have kind of helped me along the way with.
And Zoe wants to know, on a fun note, what's your juggling high score?
I don't know if I want to share that. No, I haven't tried this. I haven't tried juggling in a while, but back in the day, I was all about doing tricks and learning and breaking my records, and I got something like 2,000 or 3,000 at one point. So I would say that's probably my record when I was spending hours in my garage trying to do tricks.
Right.
But now I just have a lot of fun trying to do tricks and learn new things with the ball. So I still spend a lot of time in the garage with my sister, with my brother, just kicking around.
Yeah. And how about the advice for our high school players, the recruiting process during this lockdown? What suggestions would you give them?
Yeah, as I mentioned, I think it's an opportunity that we all have, that we have more time than usual, right? So this is your chance to, prepare for your SATs. This is your chance to start researching. We all have, we're fortunate to have so much access to information now online. And now that we're living in this virtual world where we're doing everything on conferences, I think, it's a good time for you guys to do your research and figure out, what schools are good options for you. Figure out who those coaches are, maybe reach out, send a message and say, hey, I'm so-and-so, I play for this team. I'm interested in your school, would love to learn more about it. I think this is a great time for you guys to do kind of that homework of figuring out, especially for those of you in high school, older ones, figuring out, what kind of school you'd be looking for down the road, so that once we get out of this lockdown, you have sort of a plan in place, right? You have a plan in place that you can start tackling when you're back on the pitch.
Excellent advice. So, and advice on setting goals, setting short-term goals, setting longer-term goals. So maybe short-term goals, the next 1 to 6 months, long-term goals, maybe over the next couple of years, and then that big dream goal. So obviously your dream was, I want to play professionally. So just walk through setting goals and the process of it, and advice for the kids.
For sure. No, I think this is a key piece to anything you do in life. It could be soccer, it could be something else, but I think the topic of setting goals is key for whatever it is that you guys end up deciding to pursue. I think the key here is to think big and think long term, but to act in the shorter term, if that makes sense. So it was, as you mentioned, it's how can I play professionally? But in the shorter term, it's how can I get better with my right foot? You know, it's how can I get better at defending? So it's kind of setting that really long-term, big picture goal, and then kind of working your way backwards and saying, okay, what are the steps that I can take, you know, today, tomorrow, next week to get there, right? I think is a key piece. And then my other piece of advice would just be two of them. One, don't forget to enjoy it, right? And don't put so much pressure on yourself to feel like, oh my gosh, if I don't do this, it's going to be a failure. It's not. I think, you know, even if I hadn't gotten to play professional or playing college, this would have been worth it because soccer teaches so many values that carry over into whatever you end up doing. And you know, that's good advice, I think, for the younglings, right? When you play soccer, you learn how to work in a team. You learn how to win, you learn how to lose, you learn how to be on time, you learn how to get your things ready for your match. All these things that you're doing now are going to be super important later on in whatever it is you choose to do, right? You could end up being a doctor, and this will have taught you how to work with your coworkers to do something under pressure, you know, to succeed. It'll teach you to get to work on time. You know, it'll teach you to wake up early and go for a run, you know, building these habits to stay healthy and to stay active. I think no matter what you end up doing with soccer, you're going to take something positive out of it, so it'll be worth it. Those are the two big things I would you know, advise to the young ones, is to really enjoy the ride. And I think the last thing is there's no right time, right? So it's not like, oh my gosh, as soon as I turn 18, I have to know exactly what college I'm going to be in. Like, everyone has a different timeline. Everyone has a different path. You know, your teammate may be at 100 juggles and you're at 20, but don't worry. Everyone's on their own path, and the key is to focus on how you can improve on any given day. And, you know, the timing will be right whenever it's right for you. For me, you know, I never imagined that I was going to end up at 27, playing my first professional league. I thought for sure it would have been way sooner, but it came later, and I'm glad it did, right? So it's just a matter of not putting too much pressure to kind of achieve those goals by a certain day. I don't think you guys need to think about all that right now, and just enjoy it, right? So one thing might lead to the next, maybe it doesn't, but you have to have fun along the way and really take away the great things. For me, my best friends today are girls I play soccer with to this day, you know, and my friends from college that I still talk to every single day are girls that I played soccer with. So I think those things make it all worth it, and those are the things that you really have to enjoy. Don't forget to enjoy it, and don't take it all too seriously.
That's excellent, Natalie. And I just want to say two things that you touched on right there that even, you know, I wrote down. Think big, but act in the short term. I mean, that's excellent advice for, as you said, everything that you do in life. And then there's no right time, because everybody's journey is going to be different.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
So to that point, you know, this is my story. Yours could be totally different, and that's okay. And it's still going to be a great story. So it's not a matter of following, you know, the exact steps that anyone else is doing. It's just figuring out what's right for you. Don't be afraid to ask questions. You know, if anyone wants to reach out to me, Trent, you feel free to share my contact info, but
Sure.
don't be afraid to reach out to people who you think could be your mentors or could kind of guide you along the way, because you're never alone in it.
Yeah. And if anybody wants her contact information, please feel free to reach out to myself or Coach Alvin or Coach Alex. Since we're recording it, I'm not going to put it on the slideshow, so random people don't contact her. But we're going to move into the question and answer section of this. I have some questions that were put in the chat box. But, you know, I personally love this slide. I think it shows such a great journey of your club to your college to your professional.
That's awesome.
And the passion that you put into the game and your love of the game. First question I want to touch on, what somebody asked, what tips can you give us for daily motivation?
Daily motivation.
So it might go back to what do you do on your what motivated you on your laziest days? But, you know, a lot of people are are struggling to get off the couch and stop playing
Yeah.
FIFA or put TikTok down during this time and
Yeah. No, it's not
get
easy.
outside and play. So
And I would say figure out what pumps you up. A lot of times, like for example, I know that I'm gonna have to work out later today at some point, so I gotta switch into my workout clothes. That's step one, right? So let me just get changed and get my mindset on, okay, I'm gonna work out, it's gonna happen. And then just one step at a time. I think for me, sometimes it's putting on a really good pump up song that I love that's gonna get me motivated to go on my run, even I may be feeling lazy. So just figure out what works for you to get excited and get pumped about working out. Or grab a buddy, right? Sometimes I'm lazy and my brother's pumped to go run. So I'm like, all right, now I gotta go. Or I'll just hop on the bike and go with him. But, it definitely helps to have someone next to you who you're willing to run with. I know for the 2010s, I know some of the girls were running with their siblings or with their parents. So that definitely helps.
absolutely. And girls, please put your questions into the chat box as we go along, or raise your hand through the participation function, and I'll call on you if you want to ask your question in person. But going back to your college days, what was your major at Columbia, and did you know what you wanted to do before you got there?
Yeah, so I majored in business management and I did a minor in psychology. Did I know what I wanted to do? Absolutely not. No way. And I didn't figure it out until my sophomore year, actually, that I decided, all right, based on the classes I've been taking, this is the major that I'm going for. I did know, as I mentioned, I did know I love sports. It's what I grew up playing sports and loving it. And I knew that was an area that I could potentially be interested in, but by no means did I have it figured out. And, I had to try things along the way to really figure out what worked and what didn't. So my first internship in soccer was at MLS in finance. And I quickly realized, no, finance is not for me, right? So it's fine if you don't know exactly what you're doing. You'll figure it out along the way. And eventually hopefully land somewhere that you feel that you're passionate about.
Excellent advice. Our next question, and your answer may be nothing, but what is one thing you would change about your journey?
One thing I would change? No, there is something. I think the one thing I would change is what I mentioned to you guys about enjoying it. I think a lot of times I stressed out a little more than I should have about, oh my gosh, I got to get into this school. Oh my gosh, I got to get this job. In the moment, I think I maybe should have taken it a little bit lighter than I did, because now what I've learned now is, it's all part of the process. It's all part of the journey that you learn along the way. And one thing leads to another and leads to another. But I think that's the biggest regret per se, is that I wouldn't have done so much overthinking about everything as much as I would have just said, you know what, let's try it, which is kind of the advice I'm giving to you guys now, is to really just enjoy the ride and have fun along the way. It's what it's all about, right? Is doing what you love and being surrounded by the people you love.
That's awesome. And the Kiefer kids are coming in strong again with the questions.
I love it.
It's a really good
kids,
question. But
great question.
Did you ever feel like you didn't want to do soccer anymore, or that this sport didn't fit you? And if so, what did you do to get back in the sport or fall back in love with the sport?
Yeah, so it's a great question. Yeah, I think along the way, right, I've played since I was 8. I'm now 28, 20 years of soccer, right? I think along the way, you definitely have phases where you feel a little tired or unmotivated. You say, I'm kind of over this. This is a lot. I got to get up early and train again. I'd rather just be home watching a show. For sure, there are times like that along the way that I've had. I can't even point out one or another. I think injuries was another part where sometimes I was like, is this worth going through again? And, obviously going through injuries is difficult, and it's hard to get back into the game once you're, injured for a certain period of time. So there's definitely challenges along the way. And I think to my point on if you love it, if it's why at the end of the day, you got to do what you love, because if you love it enough, if you find yourself missing it, you realize, that's actually all worth it. I'm willing to go back to rehab my ankle to get back on the field because there's no feeling like it, right? So a lot of it is just figuring out what it is that you like and what it's going to be worth. Because no matter what you do, there's going to be challenges and hurdles along the way, and there are going to be things that make you think about, should I just quit this? Is it worth it? But if you like it, you'll stick it out, and you'll find that on the other side you'll be glad you did it.
And Sophia
Dashley,
O.
hi, I see you.
Sophia O from I think your sister's team asked, and I'm going to ask you her question as she put it, and I'll let you answer it. But when you got a one-way ticket to Colombia, was it risky? So obviously it was risky, but maybe just
hi, Sophia.
Touch a little bit more on, what made you jump to that decision a little bit.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, it was risky, right? You buy a one-way ticket, you don't know what the team's gonna be like, you don't know if they're gonna accept you. In my case, I'm Colombian, but I've lived here all my life, so it was, are these girls, do they all know each other? Are they gonna, accept me? Are they gonna think I fit in or not? You think about all these kind of uncertainties. But for me, it was a matter of trying it and having that support system. So my parents supported it. I had family in Colombia that was very helpful in making me feel at home. So, I had someone pick me up at the airport. I wasn't fully on my own in a different country. And that kind of gave me that comfort zone of saying, I have people who are going to walk me, help me, guide me through this new experience. So it's risky, but it's kind of, limited risk, because at the end of the day, I had people that supported me and that helped me through it, which was cool.
Excellent. And Isabella asks, and we've talked on this a bit, but how did your parents help you develop your soccer career? So I know your whole family is passionate about soccer.
Yeah.
If you want to touch
I mean, plenty, right? I owe everything that I've accomplished to them. Not to get too emotional, but beyond my dad teaching me things on the field, because I consider him to have taught me so much, and he's a key piece of why I am the player I am today. But it's what I touched on, right? All the sacrifices that they made to be able to give us those opportunities to go to West Orange on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays, back and forth after work, picking us up from school and going straight to training, or spending their weekends traveling to tournaments with us, and being on the sideline supporting us is huge, right? It's a key piece of helping you stay motivated and helping you stay excited about doing soccer, is when you have those people around you to support you, I think is huge. So I give a lot of credit to both of my parents, not just my dad, my mom as well, because she was driving us around most of the time, and occasionally jumped in on the family, one-on-ones and 2v2s as well, because she grew to love it too. It became a big part of what we did as a family together. I think Izzy, it's a great question, and I think you have that with your family, right? Your brother plays, your parents play, and support you and get you out there and helping to train you and to help make you a better player. So I think it's a huge piece, and everyone who has that is really lucky. And like I said, every chance you get, thank your family, thank your parents and your coaches, because, they're a huge part of helping you get to where you want to get.
Absolutely. And I want to respect your time, so I want to make sure that you're good with time. We have a couple more questions in here, so I want to check and make sure you're okay with time, Natalie.
Yeah, I'm good. I can go as long as you guys want.
All right, sounds good. So
work is done for the day. So.
Oh, good. So here's a question, a very good question, I think, from one of our players currently rehabbing from an injury. But what helped you get through your injuries and your recovery process during your college career?
Yeah, so first of all, I'm sorry about your injury, and I hope you recover very soon and that it's not too serious. But I think it's really important to do what you need to do in terms of staying patient and rehabbing. A lot of times you want to rush to get back on the field, but you can't come back too soon, because it could end up making it long-term, making it take longer for you to get back. So really, I would just recommend that you follow, I don't know if you're doing treatment or rehab or therapy, but really being disciplined and good about it. It's part of it, right? Sometimes you don't want to do your exercises to strengthen your ankle, but you have to. I always used to carry this rubber band to do strengthening rehab exercises to get my ankle back up to where it should be. It's part of the game, right? So it's not necessarily, you don't have to be running sprints to feel like you're working towards getting back. So take your time, be patient, and make sure you do it properly the first time around. I think is a big learning. And I struggled with that even this past season. I actually dislocated my elbow, and the doctors were like, no, it's 6 weeks. And I was like, no, I can't wait 6 weeks. I missed 3 games. And they're like, yeah, but it's either you miss 3 games or it gets worse and you miss the season, right? So you have to think a little bit big picture and make sure that your health comes first so that you can get back on the pitch and be 100%.
Awesome. And Miss Penelope and Miss Daphne want to know, what is the jersey in the background that is framed behind you?
Oh, yeah, it's a good question. So that jersey is my brother's, actually. So I told you guys my brother Nico also played for Rush. He actually also got to play for the U. And that jersey is from the U17 World Cup that he played in Mexico. So he got it signed by all of his teammates. He played for the U.S. under-17 team. And so it's a big memory, great memory for him. So we got the jersey for him, and it's here in his room.
That's awesome. And I think we might be talking to Nico here in the...
That would be great, yeah. I'm sure he'll have a lot of great stories to share too.
So your sister wants to know, did you ever struggle in soccer or fall behind, or were you always really good?
Great question, Soph. No, for sure I struggled, right? So everyone has, like I said, different timelines. When I started playing, and Sophie, I tell you this all the time, right? When I first started juggling, my record was literally 3. My record was 3. I couldn't get past 3.
Well, dear friend.
Are you right?
Yeah, you have to work on improving little by little, step by step. I wasn't always the best player on my team, and you have to look at learning from other players as well, right? So I learned a lot from my teammates and found qualities that they had and that they were better at than me. And it's okay to ask them and say, hey, how are you so good at defending? Like, what's your secret? I think it's great to be open to feedback from others and to really try to learn from your teammates to grow your game.
I think that's excellent advice. The question from Shelby is, what is one major quality that you think makes a great captain?
It's a great question. I would say empathy. I don't know if you guys know what empathy means, but it's caring for others and really finding a way to relate to others and to understand that everyone has different stories, everyone has different backgrounds, everyone comes from a different place, right? In my case, with my last team, we were very, very diverse. We had girls from other countries. We had girls I had a girl who was 33 and I had a girl who was 16, right? So wide variety of ages. So it's just a matter of really getting to know every single one off the field and understanding, what drives them, what motivates them. I think is a really key piece of being a good leader, not just on the field as a captain. I think generally, you might be a leader in the office, and it's a matter of really understanding everyone's story and where everyone comes from and figuring out the best way to motivate them towards their goals and towards, your team's goals.
Excellent and unscripted, but empathy is one of our Rush core values.
No way, that's great.
I'm sure you probably
What
know.
are the other ones? Just out of curiosity.
Just off the top of my head. Who from the group wants to answer all of them?
This is a pop quiz.
Yeah, pop quiz.
The Rush core values.
I'm gonna fail unless I go and get my shirt.
No, but empathy's huge for whatever you do, right? You gotta understand that not everyone's like you. Not everyone comes from where you come from. Everyone has an interesting story, and it's a matter of listening to their story and accepting it and figuring out how you guys can bond.
Right. So another question, as a competitive person, what helped you recover when you lost?
Yeah, losing is never easy, right? It's tough. It's tough, but it's part of the game. It's part of the game. I think about even my last game with Millonarios where we lost in the semifinals. And, I think when you feel like you left it all out on the field is a different feeling when you feel like, oh man, I should have done this, I should have done that. So I think that's a really big piece of learning to lose is that if you know that you gave 110% in those 90 minutes, there's not anything more you could have done. It's easier to cope with the loss. You say, all right, credit to the other team. They had a great game. Congrats. And you move along to the next one. I think that's huge. But when you kind of start dwelling on, oh my, why didn't I try harder? Why didn't I run more? I think that's where it becomes a little bit harder to deal with losing.
And we have 2 more questions I'm going to get to. But to give you the Rush core values, I just had to pull them up because it's been a long day. But they are accountability, advice, empathy, enjoyment, humility, leadership, passion, respect, safety, tenacity, and unity.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
2
They're
fun.
great. There's a lot of them.
Yeah, 2 fun
I
questions.
like humility as well. I think humility is huge, no matter how, and it's one of the things I admire about Andres Iniesta, right? And off the field, he's obviously a superstar, one of the most successful footballers of all time. And you literally, anyone could walk up to him and have a conversation and he's as humble as ever. I think that's a huge quality as well.
So 2 fun questions to end on, or I think we could keep you here all night. Honestly, Natalie, it's been amazing.
Okay with that.
And I'm sure that we will have you back again, maybe just as a question and answer section or something. So 2 fun questions. What was your favorite tournament at any time in your life? What was your favorite tournament?
This is a tough one. For this one, I have to go back to the Rush days because when we won State Cup, that was like, there was no feeling. It was amazing. I think that was definitely one of my personal highlights was when we won State Cup. At that time, it was very competitive. There were a lot of really good teams. There was Team Boca, RSL at the time. There were a lot of really good teams. And when we won that state championship, there was so much joy and happiness around it. Our whole team was so motivated. So I think that's one of my big tournament highlights was winning State Cup with Rush for sure.
Awesome. And some of the girls want to know, have you met Alex Morgan?
It's a good question. I have met Alex Morgan. I haven't played with Alex Morgan or against her. But I met her through work at some of the U.S. women's national team games. I got the opportunity to meet her. Obviously, she's an awesome, really great player. So hopefully she'll be back on the pitch soon. I think she's having a baby.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm gonna stop the questions there. If anybody else wants to put any questions in the Zoom chat real quick, I'll copy them down and send them over to Natalie and get them out to everybody. Natalie, we just want to thank you on behalf of the Rush staff and the coaching staff and all of our players for spending your time. You, as Coach Alex said, you are definitely a role model to our players. And I know the ones that know you personally and have seen you out on the fields definitely look up to you. But I'm glad that girls from all the different ages had a chance to listen to your journey and listen to your path. And again, we thank you for spending your time with us. Is there anything you want to close on, or Coach Alvin, anything you want to close on?
Yeah, it was great.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, just sitting here, I had an opportunity to coach at Notre Dame, but, just listening here to you, of course, there was a lot of national team kids, but man, you paint a great picture for the kids to mimic. I hope everybody that was on really got a good opportunity just to hear some of these great things, because you put some nice things out there. Oh, and last but not least for me, you worked at Barca, so I'll send you my address. I just want that shirt from Messi. I want it signed. Come on, Natalie. I mean, come on now.
I'll see what I can do. But I'm glad to hear you're a Barca fan.
Yeah.
Because I am as well. No, and from my side, thank you guys. Obviously, for me, it's so great to reconnect with the Rush community. Obviously, it's a no-brainer that we're it's a big part of my life. Rush has been a big part of my life, my brother's life, and now it's a big part of our family's life with our little sister joining the Rush family as well. So for me, it's really a pleasure, and I'm fortunate to be here with you guys, and I hope this was helpful. I definitely urge you guys to keep playing, to keep training, to enjoy it, to have fun, and to work hard. And, you know, you'll never know where it takes you. I think for me, it opened up so many opportunities I didn't imagine, and, you know, hopefully it does the same for you guys if you continue to work hard. So keep at it, listen to your coaches, thank your parents, and keep working hard. And anything you guys need, you know, you guys have a big support system along the way. I think Rush is doing an awesome job of keeping you guys engaged and in touch with one another during this tough time. Hopefully everybody stays safe through it, and we can all be back on the field soon. So I hope to see you guys at West Orange at some point. I'm out there sometimes. And let me know if you guys have any questions. If you guys want to connect with me privately, feel free. I'm happy to help however I can.
Yeah, again, anybody that would like to connect with Natalie, feel free to shoot me an email or a text, and I'll get you in contact with her. And again, Natalie, one last time, thank you very much for everything you've done for the Rush community.
No, thank you guys.
Family. And
hopefully this isn't the last time we chat. We'll stay in touch. And anything you guys need, please do let me know. And thanks again. This was fun.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Enjoy this and have fun.
Thank you, everybody. Yeah, thank you.
Have a great night, everybody. Thank you, Natalie.
Thanks, Alan.
Bye. Good night, everyone.